As above, so below. Um, there are a lot of truths that are often right in our faces. There's a lot of truth in sayings, in music and movies, all over the place, actually, in writings. It's kind of veiled, but if you pay attention, it's out there. And but I think, to me, the as above, so below is a really big one. It's really really powerful, and it applies. It applies in such a way that if we understand it, then it gives us understanding for the afterlife. Because whatever goes on here goes on there, or the other way around. It's all one system. So, most of us understand, or a lot of us, I don't know if it's most, but a lot of us understand what's going on here. We understand the lies and the deceptions and the twisting of the truth in our physical lives. But we don't make the connection, that the same thing goes on over there. So for me, that's been a big deal in the last 3 years or so. I've always thought there was something not quite right with, everybody having to pop back here and being reincarnated so we could learn things. It never just sounded quite right to me. But now that I see, the reports from the other side in a new light, it all makes sense. So, we've been told that everything is love and light on the other side, especially the light. The light is so wonderful. The light is everything, right? We've been conditioned to think that the dark is evil and can't be trusted and all of that stuff. So, since everything in this world is upside down, that's probably not true at all. And even if you don't believe in reincarnation, at minimum, many people believe that they will be rescued. In the West, it's mostly Jesus is coming back and taking us to a better place. Well, not taking me to a better place, but this is the belief. But how do you know that's true? How do you know this is true? The answer is you don't. You don't. You're choosing to believe something that you've been told and conditioned to believe since you were born. You don't know. You haven't experienced God. You have not experienced angels. You have not experienced Jesus. It's even questionable whether such a person ever existed historically. And you haven't met him in your own life. Those who say, "Oh, I've met Jesus and I'm saved," you haven't. You're telling yourself stories. The love that you feel and the guidance that you get is your own system. Your own emotional, physical, psychic system is generating your feelings and your thoughts. And yes, there is guidance in there. But I mean, my sister, okay? If she has been in a tight place or there's been a problem that she's been able to figure out, and get through, she'll say, "Oh, God is good." And I want to say, "No, you're good. You're good. You figure this out. You listen to your inner promptings." How do you don't know it's God. She gives God the credit. And a lot of people do. It's you. It's you. So anyway, I made a few notes so I don't hem and haw around too much. So instead of listening, for me at least, instead of believing some oldie moldy cobbled together book that was cobbled together by a king and a pope and translated and interpreted and blah blah blah, and it's just a horrible thing to get through. There's so much nonsense in there. There's so much stuff in there that I just don't see how it applies to me or to life. I've tried reading the Bible in the past many years, not recently, but it's just an awful thing to read. And the feel I get from it is that this doesn't apply to me. It just doesn't. I used to listen to all the love and all that good stuff, but do you really need somebody else to tell you what's right and to love, that love is the best thing going in this reality. If it's not contaminated, a lot of what people call love is really destructive. So I'm not sure whether love exists past this matrix, but it's certainly something that is being used to drug the souls that cross over, as in the near-death experiences. So anyway, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, I believe the people that have been having these, there's thousands of them, near-death experiencers, out-of-body trip reports, and the people who remember their pre-birth status. I've had flashes of things like that, but not very clear. Of course, it seems like our memories get wiped so that we can't remember where we came from. And that's my beef with spiritual teachers and meditation teachers, that they think that that's just fine. They don't question it. Nobody questions anything. I wasn't raised to question anything. But this has gotten so crazy that my questioning abilities have increased tremendously. Anyway, the picture that emerges from the afterlife reports, or in between life reports, is that there is extreme manipulation over there, just like here. We are manipulated and threatened constantly by those in power, and the same goes on over there. They manipulate our feelings, as Barbara Streisand sings. And if the love bomb doesn't work over there, then they bring out the guilt. They even make children feel guilty. Children, little ones, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, who have near-death experiences. They make them feel terrible about what they've done. And there are also hell-like NDEs where people suffer, and where people have to work, and where they're cold and where they're hungry. And this one woman was even raped. I don't know. She didn't realize she was dead. That's kind of freaky. But I'm pretty sure that if you pay attention, you will know when you leave your body. That's one of my inner requests, is that I be awake and alert to what's going on, hopefully not drugged, but that I know that I'm leaving, So it seems like you're not done. You're not done when you leave here. If you stay in the astral, if you stay there and you go along with the program wherever you end up, then somebody's always on your ass. Somebody's always telling you what to do, what to think, when to do it, how to do it. They have classes. They have, they're just not going to leave you alone. I'd like to be left alone to my own devices for a long time. Because you don't know what your spirit is capable of. You know, when I first heard the expression that humans are powerful creator beings, I thought, ugh, that doesn't sound right. You know, but over the years, when I consider everything that humans have accomplished here, in spite of faulty bodies and systems that have been degraded over the years through poisons, through brainwashing, through, torture and abuse for a lot of humans, war, and the things we've accomplished here are pretty amazing. So when your soul leaves here, with if you have no interference, if you allow no interference by outside forces, who knows what you can accomplish? Who knows what you can be? Who knows what you can do? You don't know. But, considering how, we have the boot on our necks all the time and the things we've accomplished. Without the boot on our necks, on the other side, you have no neck. If you stay in your own power and don't pay attention, practice not paying attention to the outside. I've gotten back to meditating. I was kind of quite ill for a while and I couldn't concentrate, but I'm getting back to it. I think that's the one thing that's still missing before I can leave here. I'm pretty old. I'm 73. I mean, how much longer do I have to sit here, And I think that's what, my spirit is still waiting for, that I become more grounded within myself. I haven't been doing a really good job of that. So I've gotten back into meditating. Just sit, be quiet, and just pay attention to your inner silence. The thoughts are up here somewhere, but if you drop down below the thoughts, it's quiet. It's just quiet. Anybody can do it. It's not easy. It's kind of boring. Get used to being bored. It's okay. It's another thing. The guy from Forever Conscious Research, he has brought out the idea, and I never thought of that before, that once the soul leaves here, a lot of people are probably so relieved that they still have consciousness, that they're not dead as like non-existent. They're probably so happy about that. And then, of course, they start paying attention to whatever is going on out there. But he said, if you end up in a void-like place and you've just come from the physical, and so you're so used to being stimulated all the time by sights and sounds and touch and taste, and that's another thing, I have to get off the chocolate, that, then you start looking. You out there, when you're out there, you start looking, what's going on, what's going on. And many of these NDErs have said, whatever I think happens. If I think I want to move forward, I move forward. If I move backward, I move backward. And the one lady said, I could tell that whatever my thought was, that's what was happening to me. But then if you can just stay within yourself, stay within your own consciousness, and we can practice that here, that's the good news, then we won't be sidetracked when we're over there. Freedom is inside. Freedom, I'm pretty sure, is inside. For me, the best thing would be if there was a nothing. But I'm afraid there is something. So if my consciousness continues, I want freedom and self-expression and autonomy. So I hope, I was going to tell you, I came across a channel called Christendom, D-U-M-B at the end, Christendom. And he is an ex Seventh-day Adventist minister. He didn't really graduate because he started questioning. He was an assistant pastor, a student pastor, or whatever you want to call him, and he began questioning the doctrines and really studying things and looking into things. And he was kicked out. It's not allowed. Questions are not allowed. And that's not just with Adventists, it's with any of these, clubs. So he has a really extensive website where he goes through Bible content. Of course, he does the Seventh-day Adventists. He does the Mormons. He does the Catholics, and he does those other ones, the L. Ron Hubbard bunch, and maybe even Christian Scientists. I'm not sure. But he picks them apart using their own sayings, using their own books and their own writings. And with the Bible, the same thing, and he chronicles all the contradictions and just, even plagiarism. I mean, they borrowed from each other. The Bible plagiarized from older writings, and then just outright absurd stuff. Just like the Adventists have their prophet woman, and the Mormons have their prophet. Everybody has somebody that started the thing, and just absurd stuff that was said. So if you're interested in digging around a little bit more on the religious side, that's a really valuable site to go to. Now, if you have a tendency for depression, you're older and you don't feel well grounded within yourself, I would say don't go there. It's probably not for you. And he said that himself in I think the main video on top. And I thought that was good advice. He said, don't send this to anybody who's fragile. I would never send this to anyone in my family. They are fragile. A lot of them are old, and I don't think they could take it. I really don't. I have a friend who's my age, and years ago, I talked to her about some of my doubts back then, probably like 20 years ago. And she actually began to cry. She said, I don't know what I would do if I can't believe that God's coming back to save me. So I will never talk to her about this. We talk about other stuff, but people are fragile, and people now are also very frazzled with everything else that's going on, and all the worries they have. So, I would not, I don't know, you know your peeps the best. So, but it's a great site. He's really good, and I'm too lazy to go back and read these books. I read some of them years and years and years ago, probably now 40 years ago. But it's good to have somebody who has done the digging and can just tell you about it. So anyway, I hope you're all well. Take really, really good care of yourself. It's really important, really important. And your kids, if you have kids, and your significant other. But, don't save the world. The world has to save itself. I hope they do. I hope they do. Take care. Bye.